Imagine adding a few drops of clear liquid to a white powder, and a sudden, violent fizzing forces an invisible gas into a second tube, instantly turning its clear contents cloudy and milky white. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to build the apparatus that captures that gas, and how to use this specific reaction to visually distinguish a carboxylic acid from a simple alcohol. First, put on your safety glasses and gloves. On your bench, you need 2 clean test tubes, a delivery tube, sodium carbonate, sodium hydrogen carbonate, dilute ethanoic acid, and freshly prepared lime water. Looking at this diagram of the setup, you start with an empty reaction test tube on the left. A delivery tube connects to the top of this tube, routes up and over, and submerges its opposite end deeply into the liquid of a second test tube containing your lime water. The critical step in assembly is pressing the rubber stoppers firmly into the top of the tubes. If the seal is loose, the gas we are trying to measure will leak out into the room instead of traveling down the delivery tube. Securing that closed loop is the only way we can capture the invisible gas that drives the entire experiment, giving us the physical proof necessary to identify what chemical we are holding. Step 1. Take a spatula full of sodium carbonate powder, that is Na₂CO₃, and place it into your first test tube. Then add 2 milliliters of dilute ethanoic acid. The exact moment the acid hits the carbonate powder, you get brisk effervescence. The liquid rapidly fizzes and bubbles as gas is expelled. Immediately press the stopper into the reaction tube. This rapidly forces all that newly generated gas out and over through the delivery tube. Watch the receiving tube. Over the next 10 to 15 seconds, as gas bubbles through the clear lime water, it turns distinctly milky white. Looking at the equation, ethanoic acid reacts with sodium carbonate to create sodium acetate, water, and escaping carbon dioxide. In the second tube, carbon dioxide mixes with calcium hydroxide, lime water, producing a solid calcium carbonate precipitate. That solid white precipitate suspended in the liquid is what makes the tube look milky. That distinct color change proves the gas generated in the first tube was carbon dioxide. Let's test a second compound to see if this behavior remains consistent. Wash your apparatus, starting with a clean reaction tube and fresh lime water. This time, replace the original powder with sodium hydrogen carbonate and pour in the same 2 milliliter volume of ethanoic acid. The physical results are identical. You see the same vigorous bubbling, and the lime water turns milky. Here is the equation for our second reaction. Ethanoic acid plus sodium hydrogen carbonate yields sodium acetate, water, and carbon dioxide. Check the product side. Even though we used a different powder, the salt-formed sodium acetate is exactly the same. The underlying chemical mechanism remains entirely constant. Adding an acid to a carbonate reliably strips away the necessary atoms to release carbon dioxide gas, regardless of the specific carbonate used. We can apply these consistent results to a practical laboratory problem, identifying a completely unlabeled, clear liquid on your workbench. This split screen shows our definitive diagnostic rule. Carboxylic acids react with carbonates to produce gas. Simple alcohols trigger no reaction. When testing an alcohol, there is no physical feedback. The liquid remains perfectly still, and your lime water goes unchanged. There is one structural weakness to watch out for. If your lime water is old and has oxidized in the open air, it will not turn milky even if carbon dioxide is present, leaving you with a false negative. But with fresh reagents, the visual proof is stark. Looking at the final resting state in our test tube rack, the calm, cloudy white liquid clearly confirms the reaction took place. Before you leave the bench, follow proper lab disposal guidelines. The remaining sodium acetate solutions should be poured into your designated aqueous waste container, not flushed down the sink. You now have a reliable, visual diagnostic tool. By running a simple carbonate test and observing your lime water, you can confidently map unknown substances and safely identify carboxylic acids.